and welcome to Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today, guys, I'm going to be sharing with you my insights and opinions and views on the new moon, and just basically giving you up a little bit of heads up into what the type of energy patterns we're going to be experiencing, okay? Now, there's one thing that I wanted to say to you guys, and I'm generally curious about how you've been experiencing this, but I personally feel that this new moon has this potential for, well, it's not potential, I think there is an actual paradigm shift coming up at this point in time, like another one, another shift in our consciousness, another alignment process taking place. And I've noticed that a lot of people are having these kind of like inward shifts within themselves where they're connecting so much more to who they are. And it's pretty profound changes. And there's almost a sense of like, okay, I've got myself, I know where I am, now I want to try and move in a direction. And it's kind of that step in that direction that has been illuminated in some way. So I've written it in an article that I've posted on Wake Up World, and it's also in the descriptions below on this video, about what it is that I feel this shift is about. And that's what I said. I really feel that we're shifting all the time and realigning ourselves and such from a spiritual perspective. But I think that this full moon and this period of time right now that we're experiencing is very intense and very potent, with a lot of energy in it for change, for shifting. And so that's why I feel there is an alchemical potential at this point in time to transmute oneself, the caterpillar that completely digests itself to the point where it becomes liquid and then forms into a butterfly. You know, in that sense, this is this process where we have completely deconditioned the nature of who we are and how we identify ourselves in the world around us. And now we're looking at it with fresh new eyes and saying, okay, this is what I really want to be, or this is who I am. And now it's the process of beginning, and it's that shift that took place right now. So I'm interested to hear, guys, please let me know in the comments below if you've had these over here, so that I can kind of see if this is, you know, this is real, or if it's just specific people. So yeah, from the point of view of the new moon itself, I'm going to go over this to the charts now, but that picture on the left hand side over there really captures for me the message of the new moon. Whenever we're looking at the archetype of Virgo, we're looking at the archetype of self-improvement, right action, the alignment of the ego in relative to the spiritual path. In other words, that we have a spiritual path that is kind of set out for us before we are born. We incarnate onto this world, and then it is that recognition of going along your path and aligning yourself with experiences that remind you of who you are. So it's like kind of that experience in the Matrix 2, where the Oracle speaks to Neo, and she turns around, she tells him, you've already made the choice, i.e. to incarnate on Earth, and now now you've got to find out why. You know, and that's a brilliant example relative to the experience on Earth over here, and also the Virgo archetype in itself. It's that kind of self-analysis, that realignment with something higher than yourself that you attune to, that you directly go within and say, okay, this is who I truly am. And that's what I mean about the whole source thing. You know, you connected to source, you are in the universe, and you're a part of it, and so therefore it is you, and that's how it works. And so it's that alignment with that self. So that picture over there really conveys it, because there's a lot of healing potential that's going to be coming up for us right now, okay? And this is a really important message from that point of view, because honestly, since 2012, we have really gone through like intense transformation. Now, you notice how the words that I use over here, I'm not using transmutation, I'm using transformation. Because transformation is a Uranian impulse. It basically transforms a form from one to another. Whereas transmutation is the complete form of something into something completely different. So breaking a glass would be transformation, right? It's transforming the glass from this original form to something that shatters on the ground. Whereas transmutation correlates to the glass transforming into a lampshade. You know what I'm trying to say? The caterpillar to the butterfly. So we've been going through massive transformation, and it's now time where we are going to start aligning ourselves with the healing process, which is to rebuild ourselves relative to this new identity that we have. So pre-2012, this is how we thought the world was, this is how we were, and we go through all of this transformation, all of this energy work and everything, and we get to 2014 towards the end, and the elements start to shift from water to fire, slowly but surely. Saturn will be going into Sagittarius at the end of the year. Jupiter's already in Leo, for instance. You've got Uranus in Aries now, so of course that's a big thing. So we've got this breathing fire, breathing spirit into this new formed identity relative to all the hard work that we've been doing for the last 2 years. So this healing process is now starting to put all the fractured pieces together. Can you see over there? All the fractured pieces together, all coming together in alignment so that you can then become who you are. And where we are now with this full moon this new moon is that now we're starting that process. Okay. Now there are a couple of things that I wanted to share with you guys before I go over to the actual chart itself, and there are a couple of concepts. So at the moment in time, the charts have got a lot of inconjuncts, quincunxes, okay? So commonly noted as 150-degree aspects, okay? 150-degree aspects, and then it moves 30-degree sextile, and then, you know, the next inconjunct at 210 or something. That's not 210. It should be 210, which is 30, yeah, exactly. So 210 would be the next inconjunct. So 100 from 150 to 180, and then 210 onwards. And this is this inconjunct, and the both of them have specific archetypes, and they function as Virgo and Scorpio. Okay. I really didn't want to confuse anybody over there. So the point I'm really trying to make is an inconjunct correlates to two types of archetypes, Virgo and Scorpio. And at this point in time, there are a lot of inconjuncts in the chart at this stage. And I wanted to let you know that when you're looking at something that is essentially Virgonic, in other words, Virgo, we're looking at introspection and self-analysis to realign ourselves. And the Scorpio archetype in itself is to confront our limitations so that we can then embrace them, bring into ourselves our vulnerability, and transmute ourselves into something that is inherently not limitless. That's how we evolve. Okay, we confront our limitations, which then brings us to a space where we can then lift those boundaries, as it were. So these loads of inconjuncts at this point in time relative to the chart. So I wanted to let you guys know beforehand so that I don't go and explain it at that point in time. You can just see it for yourself. Okay, so these are really, really strong evolutionary symbols and aspects. These inconjuncts, and there are like blind spots in our consciousness. We can't see. So when you're driving your car, for instance, and you're looking at a certain point, there's a point of your vision that you aren't able to see from, and that's what an inconjunct represents. And the way that it aligns you is that you experience something that you're not prepared for, that forces you in yourself to have to reflect who you are. Okay? And that's how this constant realignment works. So I'm going to go over to the charts for you guys right now, and then also I'm going to introduce something to you which I don't think that many astrologers are doing at this point in time. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. And I've spoken about it in my previous video, and it comes to the south nodes of planets, the north nodes and south nodes of planets, not the moon, the south nodes and north nodes of planets. Okay. Now this is super cool because the south nodes, a south node in itself, relative to astrology, correlates specifically to the pre-existing pattern. In other words, something that has already happened. Okay. And so therefore has experienced / conditioned the nature of the energy. So if you had a south node in Sagittarius, then there would be a pre-existing pattern in your life about understanding philosophy, and how that would show up as maybe one of both of your parents were teachers, or one of you had a close uncle that was a really great philosopher and you loved to go and spend time with him, and you developed an orientation to reality relative to philosophy, conditioned by the south node. Now when we look at the south node of a planet, we're correlating specifically to the conditioning pattern of that sign. Okay, right, again, but from a generational perspective. In other words, everybody has this conditioning pattern overlaid onto their reality. So if you look at the matrix of our world, there will be certain generalizations, there will be certain behavior patterns, and these behavior patterns and layers of identity and layers of way we see the world will be reflective of the south nodes of these planets. Does that make sense? So when I go over to the chart now and I show you the south node of Mars, for instance, and then I show you some planets that are making connections to that, it's going to be some freaky stuff. So I hope you enjoy that. For now, guys, I'm going to go over to the chart. See you there. The new moon astrology, as you can see on the right-hand side, around about the 4 o'clock position, you've got the moon and the sun, and then I've got a bright orange, like illuminated circle over there. And we've got Virgo moon, we've got Virgo sun, and of course we've got the Virgo Mercury as well. And this is a very interesting aspect. And can you see that the sun and moon is actually opposing Neptune? And this is very interesting because I believe firmly that the Neptunian archetype strongly correlates to the nature of the healing process within our consciousness at this point in time. That is the one that's actually allowing us to connect to the many dimensions that exist. This is one of the ideas of the awakening, is that your consciousness doesn't have the veils anymore between other dimensions. So you're experiencing past lives, you're experiencing future realities, you're experiencing all dimensions of reality. And that's what you'll be experiencing in your life. This is why we're so sensitive to our environments at this point in time as well. So, and if you look at the Pisces archetype, the symbol, you can see it looks like it's two semicircles with a line drawn between it. It's the connection of two worlds, okay? The semicircles reflect each world, and then the line between it becomes the connection. So the totality of everything is connected in that sense, dimensionally and interdimensionally, non-physical and physical. So this opposition, this new moon at this point in time, is really got the seeds for what is going to be the ultimate beginning phase of us healing, recognizing our spiritual connection to ourselves. And of course, this obviously exists for everybody that's wanting it. Okay, this is going to happen anyway for us. So your job at this point in time is to, in a sense, become more aligned with who you are by observing and understanding what it is that you want to do with your life. And then you go by actioning that in a step-by-step, practical, physical way. Virgo, Earth, okay, practical, step-by-step process. So for instance, if I want to become a master chef, that's my dream, Neptune, okay, and I've got Jupiter and Leo now going, yes, this is who I am. I'm filled with potential, I'm filled with creativity. And then Virgo comes along and says, okay, buddy, now there's maybe aspects of yourself that you need to understand. If you want to be a cook, do you live in the right areas? Okay, so is there restaurants near you? Are the restaurants able to give you this type of cooking experience? Are they able to do that? Do you have to go and study? Blah, 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 blah. And it's those lists that you build that allow you to become aligned to your actual truth, to your actual dream. And it's that step-by-step process that gets you there. Do you see this point I'm trying to make? So from the point of view of us becoming awakened to ourselves and wanting to actualize our dreams, this Virgo new moon is asking you to self-improve, to reflect back in on yourself. Now, most of the time, Virgo works in a crisis format. The reason why the crisis is happening is because it's inducing a sense of attention. Hey, yes, there's a crisis here. Okay? And so you will see in that world at this point in time, there might be crises happening all over the place, you know, to enforce a sense of attention. So, you know, when you read something and all of a sudden somebody puts like 3 exclamation marks behind a word, or 5, or etc., and they try and really emphasize it, that's the Virgo. It's like saying, hey, pay attention to this experience. It needs improvement, as it were. So that's the seeds of the new moon. So that's what I want you guys to take away from this. Now, at the same time, we have Mars and Saturn in Scorpio at 17 degrees, square Venus at 16 degrees. So firstly, what we're looking at here is that Venus is the faster moving planet of all the symbols. So we're looking at what is considered to be a crisis in action, crisis in consciousness square. Okay, so this is the phase the square is in. So crisis in action correlates to an Aquarius archetype. In other words, we are deconditioning, we are throwing off, we are letting go. We are no longer listening to what the consensus tells us. So if John, Jeffrey, and Fred comes along to you and says to you, this is how the rules are, and you go and say, no, this is not how I feel, I have a new way of doing it, then you've got to trust your intuition. You're throwing off what has come before. You're throwing off and you're letting go of all outdated ways of thinking and being. And of course, with Mars conjuncting Saturn, what we're talking about specifically over here is outdated structures. Ways in which you have structured your reality up until this point in time that no longer supports you anymore. So if you have that dream to become a chef, and there's parts of your vulnerabilities, the Scorpio archetype, your fears, etc., if they're holding you back, you need to revisit them, Virgo. You need to embrace them, okay? And then as you redefine these boundaries and ideas, you transmute this way of your value system, how you value yourself. Now, this is where the Venus comes in, right? So your value system is linked directly with the limits that you have that you are imposing on yourself, and these limits will correlate specifically to the inner sense of structure that you have in yourself. How structured are you? How have you developed yourself at this point in time? Are you confident? Do you feel a certain way that allows you to actualize these things? Are you still scared? These are the questions you're asking yourself. So Mars conjunct Saturn is saying, hey, I'm going to give you the opportunity to bring this to the surface, and now you've got to confront this so that you can transmute, okay? And you do this by throwing off. You throw off all these outdated ideas. You let go of them completely, all right? Right, so at the same time, we've got something very, 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 very interesting happening. And I wanted to specifically talk to you about the chart this way, because relative to this actual planetary alignment at this point in time, the message here is to self-improve through analysis and integration and confrontation, okay? Now, from what? This. Look at that. Bang. These are the inconjuncts, okay? And for an evolutionary astrologer, or for at least, yeah, basically for an evolutionary astrologer, we'll tell you that those are the amount of inconjuncts that are happening in one person's chart. Okay. This is really intense because, again, the archetype of the inconjunct, I've done it in green, is to ground the self, to bring you back down to earth, to be practical, to recognize within yourself things that require step-by-step process. So can you see the line is kind of like dotted, step by step by step by step. So coming back to my story, I want to become a chef. How do I do that? First step, Mars conjunct Saturn. How do I structure this reality? In Scorpio, confront it. Okay, there is an aspect of myself that I know that is not facilitating me. Maybe the environment I'm living in is not doing this for me. Maybe I don't have the education, etc., etc. Virgo, asking questions, and then redefining your value system. Okay, so I need to reorientate myself. And so these inconjuncts at this point in time act as stopping points, like literally forcing you to stop completely and to say, hey, I need to integrate something into my consciousness over here that's going to help me. So it's a grounding. It's pulling you into a stasis, a stop point, so that you can inwardly reflect. Okay? So here's the story. You've got Pluto in Capricorn, which is forcing every one of us to reflect back in on ourselves, to make necessary changes. Remember, Capricorn is the archetype of reflection, okay? And so that we can develop an emotional maturity and change, new direction. So Pluto is doing that, and it's in conjuncting, look at that, Jupiter right at the bottom of the chart over there, okay? So the inconjunct will correlate to what? Pluto to transmute, Jupiter, our philosophy, inconjunct to self-analysis. So we are observing our philosophy, okay, and how we represent ourselves, Leo, incredibly actualized self. What philosophy, what part of our belief systems are holding us back? And then you can see the connection again to Scorpio conjunct Saturn Saturn and Mars conjunct each other in Scorpio, right? Again, to confront my limitations. To what? To my belief systems. To what? To my value systems. These are the two things in question at this point in time. And then I do the Virgo new moon process step by step, asking questions. How do I get there? Etc. Now, for many of you guys that maybe watch some astrology and such, there's a type of energy pattern called the finger of God. In other words, the Yod, okay, or Yod. And this is an awesome symbol that I don't think has a lot of awareness at this point in time. And so I'd like to offer this teaching. Okay, between Scorpio and Saturn, between Saturn and Mars, which is right at the 2 o'clock position, there's a green line that is connecting. That's all the way down to roughly about the 8, 9 o'clock position on the left-hand side of the chart, that's where another green like ball is. And that's Uranus, okay? You can see that it says 16 and 20, okay? There's an inconjunct there, okay? And then Uranus and the South Node are making an inconjunct again all the way to a little bit below the Mars, but in Virgo, just above the new moon, in Mercury, okay? And I haven't drawn it in, but there's a connection between Saturn and Mercury. Can you see that Saturn, Mars are 17 degrees and Mercury is at 17 degrees and Uranus on the left-hand side is at 16 degrees? Okay? And that connection is the finger of God, okay? One sextile, okay, between Saturn, Mars, and Mercury, and all connecting to what is essentially a crisis point, okay? And this is all the way there, Uranus on the left-hand side. So this crisis point, the yod correlates to a transmutation, an alchemical transmutation. That's what the signature represents. That's what's happening in the earth right now for us. An alchemical transmutation. The cocoon, pardon me, the the caterpillar moving into the butterfly state. Okay, so this is how it works. What is actually transmuting? What is this finger of God actually pointing to? How does it actually work, right? So from the point of view is that we look at Uranus. Uranus is conjunct the south node, so it's telling us the past, okay? And we're having to liberate ourselves from the past, how we've identified ourselves, liberation from the past, okay? Saturn and Mars in Scorpio is making the inconjunct, and we know that that is confronting limitations relative to what? Past constructions of my reality, Saturn, my construction, the way that I inwardly defined myself as. So that's up for grabs. So Mars and Aries are the same thing. They're making it inconjunct. So what are you doing? You need to confront your past and let go of all the structures that are holding you back. And then on the other side, you have Mercury and Virgo relative to the Uranus. And again, Mercury and Virgo is correlating to where I feel imperfect. So you're letting go of how the mind, okay, because remember Mercury, the mind, Virgo, inner self-analysis. So you are letting go of the mind and how it has defined you. And it is the transmutation of confronting these limitations that allows you to literally liberate yourself. That's the finger of God. That's right in the Aries, the Uranus and Aries over there, pointing to it. To liberate yourself completely. Let rid of yourself of all outdated and outmoded structures, so that you can transmute yourself, so that you can then face the new reality that you want in a way that is aligned with who you are. Okay? You get that? So I'm going to go over to the South Node charts. Okay, guys? So now I want to add another layer to this experience. I want to show you. At the top of the charts over there, you can see there's like an S, and it's S, 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 and then it's got like symbols on top of that, right? That's the South Node of the planets. And at the bottom it's got like N, 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 right? Now, I want to show you something very, very interesting over here, a synchronicity, okay? Mars and Saturn are conjunct each other in Scorpio, correct? And Mars, at this point in time, reflects to us, again, the evolutionary leading edge. Now, just below that, on the left-hand side, okay, oh, pardon me, on the right-hand side, you have the North Node, right, in Libra, 7th house. And can you see that it's at 20 degrees? The North Node in Libra is at 20 degrees. You can see where the cursor is. Look where the South Node of Mars is. Conjunct it completely. Okay, this is the new moon. This is the new moon chart. The South Node of Mars is conjunct the North Node, and we know that the North Node correlates to the future. So what are we doing over here? What is the future telling us relative to the past? We have Saturn conjunct Mars, that's making an inconjunct all the way. Okay, so there we got this Saturn and Mars conjunct, and it's making the square to Venus, and then you've got this yod. Okay, right? So you can see here, and Aries is the same archetype as Mars, right? And look where the South Node is. And what are we liberating from the past? We're liberating old pre-existing patterns. Where is the North Node? Conjunct the South Node of Mars. So it's telling us is that we need to inherently reflect on our past actions, okay, so that we can, through those reflections, then become awakened to new directions and new desires that are emanating from us, so that we can change the past. Do you understand? Pretty neat, isn't it? Change is the North Node, past, South Node of Mars. South Node of Mars relates to our desires. You see this point I'm trying to make here? So there's this beautiful synchronicity. I mean, I'm not even writing this stuff over here. That's how synchronized this is, okay? Look at this. The South Node, right on the left-hand side over there, is in Aries, conjunct Uranus. So we can tell that we're liberating from the past. The Mars is conjunct Saturn. So again, we're talking about structures and how we've defined ourselves. And so it's in Scorpio, so we needed to confront it, right? And then just below that, you've got the North Node pertaining to the future, totally and utterly conjunct the South Node of Mars. So we're telling ourselves that we need to inwardly reflect, to liberate ourselves from the past so that we can go forward in new direction. Pretty sweet, isn't it? And it is that transmutation that is happening at this point in time. And I just love it. It's unbelievable. So guys, from the point of view of those symbols at this point in time and what the chart's holding for you, I mean, when I saw the chart and I looked at it and I see all these type of things over here, I was just really, really sort of just filled with joy and harmony and happiness in my heart to see the nature of how we are getting the opportunity to heal ourselves by reconstructing who we are. And at the same time, recognizing in ourselves that what we are transmuting and what we are changing within ourselves, this immense, powerful Scorpio energy inside of ourselves to transmute, is grounded so beautifully by this Virgo energy, this subtle earth grounding stuff, you know. So imagine we're holding this chainsaw that's got like so much power, yet at the same time we've got a strong stance that we're holding it. So we've got this chainsaw that's, you know, this motor's revving so high, and yet we've just got a firm grip on it, and we're so calm and collected in this experience that we're going to use it for this job, etc. And it's that healing process that is so potentially beautiful within this transformation. And that's what I think is happening. Everybody's confronting things that they didn't want to anymore, and they're just reconstructing themselves completely and saying, hey, I want to go for that new job, or hey, I want to become that new chef, you know, or hey, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to hold any space to it. So again, that picture on the left hand side, the potential for change over here is immense. And I really hope that you guys got the message from this new moon point of view. All right, guys, so I've got a couple of announcements to make for you, just some information. In the description below, I've got the link to my website, so please come over to simonvorster.com and book a reading with myself. Loads of people have been doing this, and I've really been loving doing my job. It's been absolutely awesome to see the amount of transformation that people are doing at this stage, and I love reading for you guys, so it's amazing. So please come over to my website and check out the services that I've got over there. You know, anything that you want to do. Check out the online school of astrology. It's a really, really basic school in that sense, but it's complex but yet basic. That's my main aim over here. So don't feel afraid that if you don't know anything about astrology, you won't get it. It's specifically done for nobody to understand astrology so that they can get it. And then check out the article as well that I've written in conjunction with this video. There's always lots of information in that as well. In the description, the link is in the description below. And what else, guys? I will be doing the Neptune through the houses series. I'll be continuing with that this week. Probably on Sunday I'll do the next one. So Neptune in the 6th, because it's the Virgo archetype, and I'll probably do Neptune in the 8th house. So those two I'll do for you guys. What else is there that I have to say? What I want you guys to do is I'm going to put a link in the description below. One of the subscribers is trying to get many people as possible to sign a petition to save a bear in her vicinity. So I'd really be grateful if you guys checked out that link. I will put it in the description below to go and sign that petition. That would greatly help that person a lot. And if there's any work that you want me to do for you guys, if there's any sort of something, a shout out that you want me to do for you, that work that you're doing, please let me know. Contact me through my email address. And I will most certainly publicize it on the website for you here and on the YouTube channel as well, okay? Other than that, guys, no, that's it. Be sure to come over to my site afterwards. Links in the description. Other than that, please hit the like and subscribe button and share this information as much as possible. I truly appreciate it. And of course, I truly appreciate you guys for watching it as well. Until then, guys, have a fantastic evening and take care. Bye-bye.